Hello students, welcome to chemistry online classes, Tungal PU College, Jamkhandi. Students, this is a solid lesson going on, physical chemistry first lesson, and we are in the last lecture of this lesson. Today we will finish this lesson. Today's topic is electrical properties and magnetic properties. First we will see electrical properties and then we will move towards magnetic properties. So electrical properties, already you know vaguely few things about electrical properties. For example, solids are of three types, you know, based on their electric conductance or based on their conductivity. Solids are of three types: insulators, semiconductors and conductors. Insulators means bad conductors who don't conduct electricity, okay, or whose conductivity is very low. They are called as insulators. Next, semiconductors. Semiconductors means whose conductivity is more than insulators but less than conductors. Whose conductivity lies in between conductivity of insulators and conductors are called as semiconductors. And lastly, third type is conductors, who conduct electricity very easily and high amount of conductivity is there. That type of solids are called as conductors. So this is all already you know, this much. But now here we have to say low. For example, insulators conduct low conductivity. Low means how much conductivity. So let us see these three types of solids based on their conductivity. Okay, so I am starting with the topic electrical properties. Based on conductivity, solids are of three types: insulators, semiconductors and conductors. Let us see these three types in detail. First we will start with insulator strands. Insulators are the solids whose conductivity is low. Generally we will call them as bad conductors. They are used for insulation purpose. Means if we don't want heat to go out, insulation is done. That are called as insulators, bad conductors. Their conductivity will be low. Now here we have to mention conductivity is low means how much it is. Then first thing you should be knowing, students, that conductivity is measured using unit per ohm per meter. This unit how came and all we are going to see in third lesson, electrochemistry, in detail. Conductivity, resistivity, these all things in detail are there in our syllabus, but in lesson number 3. Now here understand that conductivity is measured and its unit will be per ohm per meter. Insulators are having very low conductivity. So their values are 10 to the power negative values. 10 to the power minus 20 to 10 to the power minus 10. Here I have already written the values. Conductivity values are 10 to the power minus 20 to minus 10 per ohm per meter. That is low conductivity. Then understand why they conduct low. What is reason why insulators are having less conductivity? Because students, there will be two bands. Here I have shown two bands. Okay. These, what do you mean by these bands? Actually, atoms will combine to form molecules. Similarly, atomic orbitals will combine to form molecular orbitals. This is we have seen in first PUC chemical bonding lesson, MOT theory. Yes, atomic orbitals will combine to form molecular orbitals. Now these molecular orbitals have very less energy gap between them, which forms the bands. So bands are actually molecular orbitals. Because they are having less energy gap, they form bands. Okay. So there are two types of band strands. One band is empty band, which is responsible for conduction, that is called as empty conduction band, and another band where valence electrons are present, it is filled with valence electrons, so we'll call that band as filled valence band. So I hope you understood two types of bands are there. One is empty conduction band and another is filled valence band. Okay, electrons are present. Electrons are responsible for conductivity here. Now here I have shown that empty conduction band and filled valence band, between these two bands a large gap is present. This gap is large in case of insulators. In case of semiconductors, the gap becomes small. In case of conductors, this gap becomes 0. Okay, so this gap is responsible for less conductivity in insulators. Now there is large gap. This gap is also called as forbidden zone. You should remember this one more name. Energy gap is, of course, large gap is present. I am highlighting large gap, and for this energy gap sometime forbidden zone is also called. Okay. Now as this gap is large, it's difficult for the electron to jump from this valence band to conduction band. Due to large gap, electrons cannot jump easily from valence band to conduction band, and that's why they are having low conductivity. I hope you understood insulators very well. Let us move towards semiconductors. Already I have told you that semiconductors have conductivity in between insulators and conductors. Why it is in between? First see the range. For insulator the range was 10 to the power minus 20 to 10 to the power minus 10. Okay. But semiconductors conductivity is more than insulators. So their values will start becoming positive values. Semiconductors conductivity is in the range of 10 to the power minus 6 to 10 to the power plus 4. Values remember students. These values remembering is very important. 10 to the power minus 6, and these values are becoming positive because their conductivity is more than insulators. So in case of semiconductors, of course two bands will be same, two bands will be there, but the gap, energy gap between two bands will be smaller as compared to insulators. Now as the energy gap is small, electrons can jump from valence band to conduction band, but not all electrons. Some of the electrons can jump from valence band to conduction band. As some electrons are only jumping, there is in between conductivity. Like insulators, gap is more, so no electrons can jump. Here all electrons can go to conduction band. Here some of the electrons can jump. So here energy gap is small, and that's why only some of the electrons can jump. So conductivity is in between insulators and conductors. Let us move towards last type, that is conductors. Students, conductors are mainly of two types. Metallic conductors that are also called as electronic conductors. Another are ionic conductors that are also called as electrolytic conductors. I have written one names here. Conductors are mainly of two types, metallic conductors and electrolytes. Conductors of course conduct electricity. Yes, metallic conductors. All you know that metals are very good conductors of heat and electricity. So how and why metals are good conductors? Who in the metals are responsible for conductivity of heat or electricity? Then in metals so many electrons are present which are responsible for their good conductivity, and that's why metallic conductors are also called as electronic conductors. Okay, so metallic conductors, in that conductivity is due to movement of electrons. Electrons present in all metals, they move and they conduct electricity. Another type of conductors are electrolytic or ionic conductors. For example, electrolytes. Electrolytes, so many examples we have seen. For example, NaCl, KCl and all. These electrolytes, when dissolved in water or in molten state, what happens? For example, NaCl added in water, it will dissociate into ions, and these ions are responsible for conductivity. That's why electrolytes are also called as ionic conductors. Getting? So conduction can be by two ways, either movement of electrons or another is by the movement of ions. If electrons are moving and they are responsible for conductivity, then the type of conductivity is called as electronic conductivity, or they are called as metallic conductors. Another is electrolyte or ionic conductivity. It is due to movement of ions. Ions will freely move and they conduct electricity. Now student, in conductors, how are these two zones? Of course, which two zones? Upside is empty conduction zone and downside is filled valence band. Okay, two zones, rather two bands are there. This is empty conduction band and this is filled valence band. In conductors, both these bands are overlapping on each other. No gap is there. Gap is not there. Rather, both bands are overlapping on each other, and that's why electrons can jump very easily from valence band to conduction band, and that's why their conductivity is very high. So here already I have written that overlapping of two bands takes place, and these two values you have to remember. They are having very high type of conductivity. Okay, so you understood that insulators, semiconductors, conductors, what is difference between them? Write the things properly. Values remember. You should not write that insulators means which are having very low conductivity. That much answer is not expected from second PU students. You must mention what is the range of conductivity. Okay, that values must be mentioned along with the proper unit. And why that happens? That is due to the presence of two bands. Okay, what are these two bands and everything we have discussed. Now students, in this lesson we are in this in this lecture, further we are going to discuss in detail semiconductors. Okay, so you have understood that semiconductors have conductivity in between insulators and conductors. But this conductivity, listen students, semiconductors conductivity is more than insulators, less than conductors. But this type of conductivity which is in between is of no practical use. Practically there is no use of this type of conductivity. We want more conductance and then only practically we can make use of it. Okay, so further we'll see that now how to increase the conductivity of semiconductors. Now forward further topic is using semiconductors. We have to increase the conductivity of semiconductors. How can we increase the conductivity of semiconductors? This is done by adding impurities to the semiconductors. Semiconductors, best examples always remember students, silicon and germanium. You will be knowing that silicon and germanium both belongs to 14th group, P block of periodic table. Both these elements belongs to 14th group. Now, they are semiconductors. We have to increase their conductivity so that they will become practically useful. How to increase their conductivity? It is done by adding impurities to them. Impurities are added and their conductivity is increased. Adding impurities to increase the conductivity, that process is called as doping process. Okay, doping, doped semiconductors they are called as. Okay, so what is doping? Increasing the conductivity of semiconductors by adding impurities, that process is called as doping. This doping is done by two ways. I already told that semiconductors, best semiconductors are silicon and germanium. They are called as intrinsic semiconductors. Intrinsic means pure silicon, pure germanium. They are intrinsic semiconductors. Now we have to increase their conductivity. They belong to which group, student? 14th group. To these elements we have to add the impurities. Two options are there, students. These belongs to 14th group. One option is either add impurity which belongs to 13th group or add impurity which belongs to 15th group. Getting? Silicon germanium belongs to 14th group. Their impurity we have to add. Here impurity is added either from 13th group element is added, otherwise 15th group element is added. If 13th group element is added, then we will get P type of semiconductors, and if 15th group element is added, then we will get N type of semiconductors. And now we have to see in detail what are P type of semiconductors and what are n type of semiconductors. Topic is very interesting and very easy. Let us take screenshot. Yes friends, let us see two types of semiconductors. Here already I have written that how these N and P type of semiconductors are formed. Already I have told you that semiconductors conductivity is low, so impurities are added and that process is called as doping. So here definition of doping is written. What is doping? Semiconductors have low conductivity and it is increased, conductivity is increased by adding impurities and that process is called as doping. Students, semiconductors belongs to 14th group. Generally semiconductors are silicon and germanium. To these semiconductors, impurities should be added either from 13th group or impurities should be added from 15th group. 13th group elements are boron, aluminium, gallium, which are used to add as impurities. Okay, what I am telling you, semiconductors 14th group, impurities are added from 13th group, otherwise they may be added from 14th group elements. 13th group, which elements are added? Added either boron, aluminium or gallium, and from 15th group, generally phosphorus and arsenic are added as impurities. If 13th group element is added and that increases the conductivity, that type of conductors are called as P type of semiconductors. If 15th group is added, that type of conductors are called as N type of conductors. Let us understand these two types in detail. So first I will tell you what do you mean by P type of semiconductors. 14 group elements, silicon example we are going to take. 14 group elements are having 4 valence electrons. So every silicon has 4 valence electron. Every silicon forms 4 covalent bond with the surrounding silicon atoms. And like this it completes its octet. This is what shown in the diagram. You can see that every silicon has 4 valence electrons and every silicon is forming 4 covalent bonds with the surrounding silicon atoms in silicon metal semiconductors, and like this silicon is completing its octet. Now what is done, students? Now we'll add 13 group elements to the silicon. Let us take, we have added boron. You may add aluminium or gallium also. Imagine that we have added boron to silicon. So boron will occupy some of the sites in silicon. Let us, I have highlighted here one boron atom. But boron belongs to which group? 13 group. And you know that 13 group elements are having 3 valence electrons. So they can form only 3 covalent bond with the surrounding silicon atoms. Yes. So if we will add 13 group element like boron, boron is having only 3 valence electrons. So it forms 3 covalent bonds with the surrounding silicon atoms. But one place remains empty. I am showing it as a hole. Here one electron is less. One place remains empty. For this we will call as hole where there is no electron. Why to this we will call positive hole? I will tell you. Now first understand that here one electron is less. Why one electron is less? Silicon has 4 valence electron. Silicon is replaced by boron. Boron has only 3 valence electron. So boron can form only 3 covalent bond with the surrounding silicon atom. But one electron is less and that is called as hole is created. Now students, that is what is written in this point. Okay, I wrote that in P type of semiconductors, impurities added from 13th group. 13th group are having 3 valence electrons. that is impurity added is, what type of impurity is added? Trivalent. Sometimes words are used. Trivalent impurity is added. So all possible varieties I have written here. 3 valence electrons are there. So impurity added is called as trivalent impurity. Of course, it is having less electrons as compared to silicon. So this type of impurity is called as electron deficit impurity. Okay. Electrons are less, so it is called as electron deficit impurity. Now students, every boron will form 3 covalent electrons and one place remains empty, that is called as hole. Hole is created here. Okay. So this is about p type of semiconductors. Here what happens students, if electric current is applied, imagine that I am applying electric current. Here one plate is there which is positively charged, and opposite side I will put a plate which is negatively charged. If electric current is applied, now I am telling you why this hole is called as positive hole and how it increases the conductivity. Electric field is applied. When electric field is applied, electrons starts moving. All these electrons, they will start moving. Students, you know that electrons are negatively charged. As they are negatively charged, the opposite charges attract each other, and that's why they will move towards positively charged plate. So electrons movement will be seen in towards this direction, towards positively charged plate. Electrons are negative, opposite charges attract each other, so electrons will move towards positively charged plate. Okay. Now this is what is happening. But what appears that, try to understand. Things are very simple. Electrons are moving towards positive plate. But one more thing is observed. Not happening, but it appears like that. What is appearing? Let us try to understand. Now students, as electrons are moving towards positive plate, imagine that this electron moved. Imagine I am highlighting one electron. This electron is moving towards positively charged plate. While moving towards positively charged plate, for some time it will come and it will occupy this hole. Okay. Anyhow, it was going in this direction. So during the way, it will occupy this hole. And when it is occupying this hole, a new hole is created here. At its original site, new hole is created. Okay. Now imagine that this electron is moving. When this electron is moving towards positively charged plate, this will first occupy this hole. As it is occupying this hole, new hole is created at its original site. Again imagine that this electron is moving. While moving, this electron will occupy this hole. And then at this place, new hole is created. Okay. Like this, electrons while moving, it will go on occupying this hole. And that's why it seems, rather it appears like this. Initially hole was here, later on hole created here, next here, and last hole is created here. So it appears that hole is moving towards negatively charged plate. Actually hole is getting created, but it appears like hole is moving towards negatively charged plate. Now student, if hole is moving towards negatively charged plate, then hole must be positively charged. So it is said that hole is positive, and increase in conductivity is due to positively charged hole. So from this positive P, these conductors are called as P type of conductors. I hope you understood the things well. Excuse. Students, here I have not written the reason why these are called as P type of semiconductors. That is third point I will write afterwards. I have only written now 2 points. Okay. Let us move towards N type of semiconductors. What is N type of semiconductors? In N type of semiconductors, impurity added is belonging to 15th group. 15th group, there are so many elements. Nitrogen is there, but generally phosphorus and arsenic is used. Arsenic has symbol As. Let us see towards N type of semiconductors. Now in N type of semiconductors, as already I have told you that 15 group element is added. Imagine that phosphorus or arsenic is added. I have highlighted arsenic. Friends, you know that 15 group elements are having 5 valence electrons. Okay, now when 15 group element is added in silicon, silicon already has 4 valence electron. Every silicon forms 4 covalent bond with the surrounding 4 silicon atoms, but now we are adding 15 group. 15 group elements are having 5 valence electrons, and these 5 valence electrons, out of 5, only 4 valence electron forms 4 covalent bonds with the surrounding silicon atoms. 1 electron is extra electron, and that electron is responsible for increasing conductivity. As here in N type, conductivity is increased due to presence of 1 extra electron. And students, you know that electrons are negatively charged. Increase in conductivity is due to presence of negatively charged electron N, and that is why that type of semiconductors are called as N type semiconductors. Okay, so let us see here. Arsenic I have shown. Arsenic is having 5 valence electron. Out of that, 4 has formed 4 covalent bonds and 1 electron is free, and this electron conducts electricity. I have written here that N type of semiconductors are formed when 15 group elements are added, like phosphorus, arsenic. They are having 5 valence electrons. So impurity added is pentavalent. 5 valence electrons means pentavalent impurity is added. Here 3 valence electrons were there, so trivalent impurity was added. Here electrons were less, so it was called as electron deficit. Now here electron is more, 1 electron is more. So this type of impurity is called as electron rich type of impurity. Okay. So 1 electron is extra, that electron is responsible for conductivity, which is negatively charged. So conductors are called as N type of semiconductors. Students, this reason I will write, till that you note down this. Yes, students, third point I have written. Please note down the third point. Third point is regarding why these are called as P type. P type is due to a positive, yes, positively charged electron holes are there, and that's why they are called as P type. And N type is due to negatively charged electrons are there. Okay, write the things. Now start, we will see some of the applications of N and P type of semiconductors. Actually, the most important question here, today's topic is only one, or rather 2 important questions are there. Out of that, the only and the most important is write the difference between P type of semiconductors and N type of semiconductors. Okay, let us see applications. Yes, friends. Let us see some of the applications of N and P type of semiconductors. Okay, only you should understand what is use of this N type and P type of semiconductors. So we'll see the applications. Let us see the applications. I have written here application. First application I have written that these N type and P type of semiconductors, these are used for making electronic components. Yes, in electronics all these semiconductors play very important role. Which type of electrical devices make use of N and P type of semiconductor, that also we'll see. For example, first electrical device is diode. What is this diode? In this diode, two N and P type of semiconductors are used. Diode itself tells you that two electric semiconductors will be there. So diode is just a combination of N and P type of semiconductors. N and P both are used. Okay, that is a combination of N and P type of semiconductors. These diodes are used, students, as rectifiers. Diodes are used as rectifiers. What are rectifiers? All these are electrical devices, students. For example, rectifiers means what? It is an electrical device used for converting AC into DC. Alternating current is converted into direct current. That device is called as a rectifier. Okay, all these things in detail not required. You just understand that N and P type of semiconductors play so much important role. It is having so many of applications. Okay, next I have written transistors here. Transistors, how they are made by sandwiching. One layer, second layer, third layer. Sandwich, you know, students. Okay, one is sandwich between two. Okay, so three layers will be there. So transistors are made by sandwiching one layer between two other semiconductor layers. For example, if P semiconductor is taken first and last, in between sandwiched is N type of semiconductors. Otherwise, you can sandwich P type of semiconductor in between two N type of semiconductors. This is called as transistors. And transistors, already you know that they are used for detecting, amplifying radio waves. Okay. Solar cells also have use of N and P type of semiconductors. Solar cells are very efficient photodiode type of cells. Photo means light. These are also diodes only, but using light, sunlight, and these are used to convert, of course, light energy into electrical energy. Okay, students, applications are over, and today's our topic was actually electrical properties and magnetic properties. Magnetic properties we are going to start. Magnetic properties are totally of 5 types. One by one we will see these types. But first understand who shows magnetic properties. Students, magnetic properties are, every substance has some magnetic properties, some amount of less or more magnetic properties will be there. Why? Origin lies in electrons. Every substance has electrons, and every electron acts as small magnet. Every electron acts as tiny magnet, and that is why every substance has some amount of magnetic properties. Then every electron how acts as tiny magnet? Then students, you will be knowing that electron has two types of motions. One is electron is moving in orbitals. Yes, surrounding the nucleus. Surrounding the nucleus, electron will be moving in the orbital. That type of motion of electron is called as orbital motion. Orbital motion. Second, electron is moving along its axis also. That is spin motion. Okay. So like this, electron is moving, and while moving it is having two types of motions, plus electron is also having charge. These two motions plus presence of charge, and that's why electron is considered as a electric current, small loop of electric current, and that's why it is having magnetic moment. So you came to know that every electron acts as small tiny magnet. Now here we are going to see these magnetic moments are measured how. Measurement of magnetic moment is done using magnetic properties is done using magnetic moment. Magnetic moment is indicated by symbol mu. Calculation of magnetic moment is not here in this lesson. Here is just introduction of magnetic substances which are various magnetisms: paramagnetism, dimagnetism, ferromagnetic substances, ferrimagnetic substances, antiferromagnetic substances. 5 types are there. That only we have to see here. Okay, and we have to see alignment of electrons, how is there in various types of substances. Students, calculation of magnetic moment. How much magnetic moment is present? That is there in our D block elements in organic chemistry. That is a compulsory question in detail calculation formula. Everything spin only formula will be there. And unit used for calculation of magnetic moment is called as Bohr's magneton. Capital B and capital M. Bohr's magneton is the unit which is used to express magnetic moment. So all these things in detail, how to calculate the formula, everything we'll see in D block elements. Now here we have to see only different type of magnetic substances. So let us start with the topic magnetic properties. Of course, magnetic properties are measured using magnetic moment. As I told you, it is indicated by symbol mu. And the unit used for expressing magnetic moment is capital Bm, that is Bohr's magneton. Okay, students. Now on the basis of magnetic properties, substances are divided into 5 types. First we will see paramagnetic and diamagnetic, because these two already you people are knowing. You just know first PUC is over, and in first PUC in chemical bonding lesson, while writing MOT, molecular orbital theory, you have came across paramagnetic substances and diamagnetic. Okay, so there are total 5 types. We will see first paramagnetic substances means what. Students, paramagnetic means these are the substances which are attracted weakly by magnetic field. Paramagnetic opposite are diamagnetic. Diamagnetic substances are weakly repelled by magnetic field, opposite to each other. Paramagnetic means what? These are the substances which are weakly attracted, not very strongly attracted, weakly attracted by the magnetic field. When magnetic field is applied, then these substances are attracted by the magnetic field weakly. Diamagnetic means when magnetic field is applied, that time these substances are repelled by magnetic field weakly, both weakly. These are attracted weakly, these are repelled weakly. Okay. So I hope you understood what is paramagnetic substances and diamagnetic substances. Students, already you know that paramagnetic substances, rather paramagnetism, is due to presence of unpaired electron. We have seen in MOT theory that if at least one also unpaired, not paired, unpaired means not paired. If at least one also unpaired electron is present, then it shows paramagnetism. Rather, if paired electrons are there, not a single unpaired is there, all electrons are paired, then that type of magnetism is called as diamagnetism. Here, electrons are paired, one is up, one is down, so it cancels the magnetic moments, and that's why they get repelled by the magnetic field. So the things are written here correctly. You note down, definition is written. Of course, paramagnetic substances, as I told you, these are the substances which are weakly attracted by the magnetic field. And when magnetic field is removed, then they will lose their magnetic moment, because they were just getting attracted by the magnetic field weakly. So if you will remove this magnetic field, they will lose their magnetic properties. When magnetic field is there, they will have magnetic properties. When field is removed, they lose their magnetic properties. So they lose their magnetic moment when magnetic field is removed. Okay, students, here paramagnetism of course is due to presence of unpaired electron. Already you know. Some of the examples I have written. If you will see copper 2 plus, chromium 3 plus, Fe 3 plus electronic configurations, if you will try to write these electronic configurations, you will come to know that they are having few unpaired electrons and which are responsible for paramagnetism. Now what is diamagnetic substances which are weakly repelled by magnetic field? Of course, definition I have written here, which are weakly repelled by magnetic field. And these are opposite of paramagnetic. Paramagnetism is due to presence of unpaired electron and this is due to presence of paired electrons, and some of the examples also I have written for diamagnetism. Students, till yet you were knowing only paramagnetic and diamagnetic substances. But still few are there. Next one is ferromagnetic substances. And question is generally asked what are ferromagnetic substances and give an example. So what are ferromagnetic substances? The substances which are strongly attracted by the magnetic field are called as ferromagnetic. They are very strongly attracted by the magnetic field. Once magnetic field is removed, then also they will retain their magnetic properties. They act as permanent magnets. That type of substances are called as ferromagnetic substances. Ferromagnetic, antiferromagnetic and ferrimagnetic. These three further types are there. Let us see that types one by one. Yes, friends, remaining three types, let us see. Already I have told you about ferromagnetic substances. Ferromagnetic substances means the substances which get attracted by the magnetic field very strongly. Okay, attraction will be very strong. If magnetic field is removed, then also magnetic properties retain in that substances. They act as permanent magnets. That type of substances are called as ferromagnetic substances. Students, question is very important. Second important question is this only. What are ferromagnetic substances? Give examples. So here examples I have mentioned. All these are D block elements, iron, cobalt, nickel. All these shows very high amount of magnetic movement, and that's why they are called as ferromagnetic substances. Another type of question what is asked student is write alignments. These are called as alignments of domains. These are alignments of domains. So you should understand, alignment of domain is asked means what you have to write. Only one mark question will be asked. Write the alignment of domain in ferromagnetic substances. Ferromagnetic, all domains are aligned similar, parallel. All are in same direction. Okay, you can see that all are in same direction. This is the alignment in ferromagnetic type of substances. Let us move towards next, that is antiferromagnetic substances. Ferro opposite are antiferromagnetic substances. These are strongly attracted. All domains are in the same directions. Students, what do you mean by domains? Domains means it is a group of metal ions. Okay, group of metal ions that makes the domain, and domains act as small magnets, tiny magnets. Okay. Antiferromagnetic means what? Now see, opposite of ferro. So here all were in equal direction or same direction. Here if one is up, another down. One is up, next down. Next is up, then again next is down. So it cancels the magnetic moment of each other, and that's why they are having zero magnetic moment. Magnetic moment is zero. Okay, so they are opposite of ferromagnetic. They are having very high magnetic moment, and anti are having just zero magnetic moment because their domains are oppositely placed. One is up, then next will be down. Okay, examples also I have written. Let us move towards last type of magnetic substances that are called as spelling C correctly. Ferrimagnetic type of substances. Students, ferrimagnetic means what? Now here little different than antiferromagnetic substances. Here equal were up. Here you can see that 3 up, then 3 were down. So they cancelled, magnetic moment became 0. But in ferrimagnetic type of substances, they are parallel also domains are there, anti-parallel domains are also there, but in unequal number. For example, let us see, if 1 is up, then 2 will be down. Again 1 is up, then 2 will be down. Are you getting? You can write in any way. But both type of domains are there, parallel, anti-parallel, but they are in unequal number. That's why few will get cancelled, few won't get cancelled. So magnetic moment is not equal to 0. Some magnetic moment will be there. So they are weakly attracted by the magnetic field. All domains don't get cancelled. Magnetic moment is not equal to 0. Some magnetic moment remains, and that's why they get weakly attracted by the magnetic field. Some examples I have written. Students, though I have told you all, question important is what are ferromagnetic example. Other alignments will be asked. Okay, let us take today's homework. Yes, students, homework take. Only 4 questions are given. All 4 questions are very easy. Students, previous video and this video became little lengthy because theory parts were there, topics were lengthy. Write down all things very neatly, properly. Have a good patience to write all these things. All the best. The solid states lesson is over.